A cabinet door opens. It's overflowing with orange prescription bottles. A hand reaches in, rattling the pills. The sound is sharp, clinical. That used to be my hand. For years, that rattle was the first sound I heard every morning. The sound of my pain. I was so tired of relying on pills, tired of the side effects, and honestly, just tired of my pain running my life. So when I heard that scientists were looking into how a specific, low-frequency sound might help fight pain, I knew I had to try it. I gave myself a 30-day challenge. Can a simple sound wave really take the place of pain medication? I swapped my pills for this, and what happened actually shocked me. For the better part of a decade, chronic pain has been my shadow. It all started with a back injury that never quite healed right, and from there it just spread. It became this web of daily aches and stiffness that clung to me, making everything harder. My life turned into a constant negotiation. Can I sit through a movie? Can I walk the dog for more than 10 minutes? Can I make it through a workday without my focus completely shattering? The answer, more often than not, was in one of those little orange bottles. Painkillers. And they worked, for the most part. They'd turn a screaming 7 out of 10 pain day into a dull, manageable 4. But that relief came with a price. There was the brain fog, the constant exhaustion, and this nagging worry in the back of my mind about what these pills were doing to my body long term. Millions of people live with chronic pain, and a lot of them are searching for relief without the risks that can come with certain medications. It's a vicious cycle. The pain demands an answer, and sometimes the answer creates a whole new set of problems. I felt totally trapped. Then, late one night, deep in a research rabbit hole, I found it. It was a collection of articles and pilot programs all pointing to a wild idea. Sound could be used to reduce pain. Not just, distracting music, but specific, low-frequency sound waves. The articles mentioned things like vibroacoustic therapy and how certain frequencies might interact with our own neural circuits. One small pilot study on patients with fibromyalgia, a condition known for its brutal, widespread pain, really caught my eye. It reported that after sessions with low-frequency sound stimulation, a majority of patients were able to reduce their medication. The claim seemed almost too good to be true. The idea that a sound, something so intangible, could do what powerful drugs struggled to felt like science fiction. But the more I read, the more I saw a foundation of real science. Researchers were genuinely exploring this. It's non-invasive, and while side effects like headaches or dizziness can occur, serious adverse events in studies appear to be uncommon. That was the moment the what if started. What if I could trade the rattle of pills for the hum of a sound wave? What if I could find a way to manage my pain that didn't have a long list of side effects? I was skeptical, deeply skeptical, but I was also desperate enough to give it a shot. I decided to commit to a 30-day personal experiment. I'd find a reputable source for the low-frequency sounds I was reading about, dedicate time every single day to the therapy, and track everything: my pain levels, my medication, my overall quality of life. This is the story of that month. So, how on earth can a low hum possibly affect physical pain? To get it, we need to talk about the science, and it's surprisingly logical. For a long time, the assumption was that any pain relief from sound was just a placebo effect or a distraction. But recent research has started to map out specific neural pathways that might be involved. Think of your brain as a complex switchboard. When you feel pain, a signal travels up your spinal cord to a relay station in your brain called the thalamus. The thalamus then sends that signal out to the parts of your brain that make you go, "Ouch, my back hurts." Now, this is where sound comes in. When you hear something, that information is processed in a totally different area, the auditory cortex. What scientists have discovered, particularly in animal studies, is what looks like a direct neural highway between the part of the brain that hears sound and the part that relays pain signals. And it seems that exposing the brain to low-intensity sound can turn down the activity of the neurons along that highway. Imagine the pain signal is a clear radio broadcast. One theory is that the low-frequency sound acts like targeted static, interfering with the signal before it can be fully processed. By lowering the activity in that pathway from the auditory cortex to the thalamus, the sound effectively scrambles the pain message. The pain is still there, but the volume gets turned down. What's really interesting is that studies in mice found that the type of sound, whether it was pleasant classical music or even jarring noise, didn't seem to matter as much as the intensity. The key was that the sound had to be low, just a little above background noise, like a whisper. Now, it's important to remember a lot of this is based on animal models, and human brains are more complex. But we are seeing this explored in clinical settings. Small studies on conditions like fibromyalgia and chronic back pain have shown that low-frequency sound stimulation may lead to reductions in pain. Some researchers believe that these sound waves, especially in vibroacoustic therapy where you also feel the vibration, might help re-regulate neural circuits that aren't functioning properly. Beyond that, some theories suggest that certain sound frequencies can guide the brain into a state of deep relaxation, potentially reducing stress hormones like cortisol and stimulating our body's own natural painkillers, beta endorphins. It could also contribute to better sleep and mood, which are huge factors in managing chronic pain. Some research is even looking into combining sound with other things, like gentle electrical pulses on the skin, to see if it enhances the effect. So, when I started my 30-day journey, I wasn't just chasing a placebo. I was testing a scientifically plausible, non-invasive therapy that seems to target the very brain circuits involved in how we experience pain. The first week was, in a word, skeptical. I found a well-regarded app that generated low-frequency sound waves, and I focused on the 40 Hz range, a frequency that has been explored in some vibroacoustic and brainwave research. My routine was simple. Twice a day, for 20 minutes, I'd lie down in a quiet room with good headphones and just listen. The sound itself is hard to describe. It's a deep, continuous hum, almost more of a feeling in your chest than something you hear. It's not bad, but it's definitely not music. And those first few sessions felt completely absurd. Here I was, lying in the dark, listening to a low hum, expecting my back to magically stop hurting. My brain was just screaming, "This is ridiculous. Just take a pill." For the first 4 or 5 days, nothing, absolutely nothing changed. My pain levels were the same. My medication use was the same. I wrote in my journal, Day 3, pain level 6 out of 10. Took my usual dose. The sound is just a sound. Feeling pretty doubtful. The idea that this could actually work felt like a stretch. I was so tempted to quit. It felt like wishful thinking, but I promised myself 30 days. Around day 9, something shifted. It wasn't a miracle. It was tiny. I woke up, and for the first time I can remember, the morning stiffness in my lower back felt less. It was usually a solid 15 minutes of creaking and groaning before I could stand up straight. This time, it was maybe 5 minutes. I almost wrote it off as a fluke. But then, a couple of days later, a tension headache started creeping in, a very frequent, very unwelcome visitor. Normally, I'd automatically reach for ibuprofen. This time, I decided to try an extra 20-minute sound session first. I lay down, still skeptical, and just focused on the hum. By the end, the headache wasn't gone, but it had faded from a throbbing drumbeat to a distant tap. It was the first time I felt a direct, almost immediate link between the sound and my pain getting better. My journal from day 11 reads, "Headache today. Tried a sound session instead of a pill. It helped. The pain is much lower. Maybe there's something to this after all." That was the glimmer. It was this tiny crack of light in my wall of skepticism. It wasn't enough to make me a believer, but it was enough to make me genuinely curious. If you've ever felt trapped by chronic pain or the side effects of medication, and this journey is hitting home, think about subscribing. I'm always exploring different paths to wellness that are backed by science, and I'd love to share what I learned with you. Week 3 was the real turning point. Those little glimmers started coming together into a noticeable pattern. The biggest change? My medication. I've always needed a dose of my prescription painkiller to get through a full workday. On day 16, I got to the end of the day and realized I hadn't taken it. That was a huge moment. For the first time in years, I got through a demanding day on my own terms. Feeling bolder, I started testing my limits. I took the dog for a longer walk. I sat on the floor to play with my nephew, something I usually avoided at all costs. I was still sore, but that sharp, stabbing pain that usually stopped me in my tracks was muffled. My ability to function was getting better, which actually mirrors findings in some studies where patients saw they could sit and stand for longer without pain. There were still bad days. On day 20, I overdid it in the garden, and that familiar, intense ache came roaring back. My first thought was, see, it doesn't work. But instead of giving up, I took my medication, but only a half dose, and did my evening sound session. The combination felt more effective than just the pill on its own. This was a new light bulb moment. Maybe it wasn't about replacement, but integration. This was a new tool in my toolbox, not a single magic bullet. By the last week, I had a new normal. The most profound and unexpected benefit was my sleep. Some research suggests low-frequency sound can improve sleep quality, and for me, this was absolutely true. I was sleeping through the night without pain waking me up, which hadn't happened in years. That better sleep had a ripple effect on everything. My mood was better, I had more energy, and my overall perception of pain was lower. It's well known that sleep, mood, and pain are all tangled together. I was consistently using about half of my usual pain medication. On some days, I didn't need any at all. My morning stiffness was now a minor annoyance, not a big ordeal. The brain fog I always blamed on my condition, but was probably made worse by medication, was lifting. I felt clearer, more present, and more in control than I had in a very, very long time. My life just felt more manageable. It wasn't a cure. The injury in my back was still there, but it had fundamentally changed my relationship with the pain. So, after 30 days of listening to a low hum, what's the final verdict? Can a simple sound wave help you rely less on pain medication? Let's look at the data I tracked. Before I started, I'd rate my average daily pain as a 6 out of 10, with spikes to 7 or 8. By the end of the 30 days, my average was down to a 3 or 4. That is a life-changing difference. It's the difference between your pain being the main event and being able to forget it's even there for a while. How much pain impacted my daily life felt like it was cut in half, an outcome similar to what has been seen in some clinical pilot studies. Now, about the medication. I went from taking a prescription painkiller almost every day to needing it maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and usually at a lower dose. So, for me, the answer to the big question isn't a simple yes or no. It didn't completely replace my medication, but it did reduce my need for it by more than 50%. It became my first line of defense. It's a tool to manage flare-ups and lower my baseline pain to a point where pills became the exception, not the rule. This is consistent with research where many patients reduce their dosage, while a smaller number are able to stop it completely. The unexpected bonuses were just as important. My sleep quality score on my fitness tracker went up by an average of 15 points. I felt less anxious, more energetic, and just more optimistic. Sound therapy gave me a sense of control over my pain that I hadn't felt in years. But it's really important to be realistic here. This is not a magic cure. It requires consistency and patience. The effects built up over time. They weren't instant, and there were days it felt like it wasn't doing anything. It also requires you to carve out 40 minutes a day to lie down quietly, which can be a challenge. Still, for a therapy that has few reported serious side effects, the results I experienced were profound. My 30-day experiment is over, but my journey with sound therapy is just beginning. It has earned a permanent spot in my pain management toolkit, right alongside stretching, exercise, and yes, medication when I truly need it. I went into this as a desperate skeptic and came out a cautious but firm believer. This whole experience opened my eyes to the potential of non-invasive therapies. The future of pain management probably isn't about finding one single magic pill. It's about building a toolbox of different strategies that work together to improve our quality of life. What the emerging science and my own experience suggest is that sound therapy is a promising option that deserves more attention. While some approaches can be expensive, many are becoming more accessible through apps and home devices. And while it's considered generally safe, it's not for everyone and minor side effects can occur. More large-scale human trials are definitely needed, but the preliminary results are incredibly encouraging. For anyone out there feeling trapped by chronic pain, I hope my story shows that there's hope in unexpected places. Sometimes, the biggest changes don't come from a pill bottle, but from a quiet hum that reminds your brain how to find a little peace. This was my personal journey, and everyone's experience with pain is different, but I'm really passionate about sharing what I've learned. So I want to hear from you. Have you struggled with chronic pain? Have you ever tried an alternative therapy like sound healing, acupuncture, or meditation? Share your story in the comments below. The more we talk about what works, the more people we can help. And if you want to follow along as I keep exploring the science of healing, please subscribe avso.com and turn on those notifications. Thanks for watching.